shrine. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय, अनंत
जय
की जय.
जय.
We'll do one by. Let us see. Hare Krishna. So this is a very nice, beautiful kirtan. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Vrindavan. So it will take a little time if both of us do. So I will only do this kirtan. You just listen. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Vrindavana, Shri Govinda Gopi Natha, Madana Mohana. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Vrindavana, Govinda Gopi Natha, Madana Mohana. Shama Kunda Radha Kunda, Giri Govardhana, Kalindi Jamuna Jaya, Jaya Mahavana. इति घट बंसी बटा द्वादशाकनान जहाँ सब लीला कोइलो श्री नंदनंदन जय राधे जय कृष्णा जय वृंदावन श्री गोविंद गोपीनाथ मदन मोहन श्री नंद यशोदा जय जय गोपगान श्री दामादि जय जय दिनो वस्तगान जय वृषभानु जय कीर्तिदा सुंदरी जय पूर्णमासी जय अधीरा नगारी जय जय गोपीश्वर वृंदावन माजा जय जय कृष्णा सखा बटु द्विजराज जय राधे जय कृष्णा जय वृंदावन श्री गोविंद गोपीनाथ मदन मोहन जय राम गाथा जय रोहिणी नंदन जय जय वृंदावन बसी जत जान जय द्विज पत्नी जय नाग कन्या गान भक्ति तेज हारा पालो गोविंद चरण श्री रस मंडल जय जय राधा श्याम जय जय रसालीला सर्व मनोरम जय द्विजवाला रसा परिक्रिया भावे जहाँ ब्रजेते प्रचार श्री जानवा पदा पद्मा कुरिया स्मरण दीन कृष्ण दासे को है नाम संकीर्तन जय राधे जय कृष्णा जय वृंदावन श्री गोपीनाथ मदन मोहन हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे राम हरे राम हरे हरे मनोज कुमार बेहरा प्रभु कैन यू सिंग आफ्टर मी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Govinda Jaya Jaya, Radha Ramana Hare Govinda Jaya Jaya.
Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya, Radha Govinda Hari Gopala Jaya Jaya.
Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya, Radha Ramana Hare Govinda Jaya Jaya.
Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya, Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya.
Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya, Radha Ramana Hare Govinda Jaya Jaya.
Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya, Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada.
Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Jaya 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 Prabhupada.
Nitya Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitya Gora Hari Bol.
Jai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jai Gaura Hari Bol.
हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय. Thank you, Behra Prabhu. So I once again welcome you all for joining today's Gita Subodhini session. Thank you, Matajis and Prabhujis, once again. So let's quickly see where we are and what we have been doing. So we are in Gita Subodhini. So we are trying to get the essence of Bhagavad Gita from the 108 slokas, important slokas from Bhagavad Gita, and out of which we were able to cover a lot of the Bhagavad Gita slokas, and we have completed the 9 chapters till now. And the previous chapter, can somebody remember the acronym for this previous chapter? And what we discuss about that? Yes, please. What was the acronym for the previous chapter? Yeah, Papi Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, it was king.
Mm-hmm.
A stands for knowledge, I stands for inconceivable, N stands for number of worshipper, right?
Non-worshippers.
All worshippers, and G stands for glory.
Glories of what? Glories of Bhakti. Okay. So,
Bhakti.
yeah, thank you, Prabhu. So today in the 10th chapter, so what is the connection between the previous chapter and this chapter is what we will try to see now, and then we'll go from there. So let me, so basically what has happened is that in the previous chapter, how did Krishna end the last, what was the last sloka of the previous chapter, 9th chapter? Anybody remembers? What was the last chapter? The last sloka of the 9th chapter. I think it was 9.34, and it's a very famous sloka. Manmana bhava madbhakto jajivnan namaskuru mam evaishyasi yuktaivam atmanam, something like that. So basically what Krishna was saying is that Krishna ends that 9th chapter so that he is asking us to fix our mind in whom? He is saying that you fix your mind on me, Krishna. That is what he was saying. Now, in the connection to the next chapter is this only. This sloka of 9.34, Manmana Bhava Madbhakto. So basically he's saying that fix your mind on me. Now this chapter is going to describe about the Lord. So see, suppose you say, somebody says that there is one person called some XYZ person, and you wanted to fix your mind on him. So how can you fix your mind on him? Can somebody tell me what are the practical ways of fixing your mind on that particular person? What are the practical ways?
Thinking about him.
Thinking about him. What else?
Hearing and
Okay. Yeah.
hearing about him.
Hearing about him. Okay. What else? What will you hear about him? Hear
By
about
knowing more about the other person.
knowing more about that person.
Characteristics.
Right. So similarly,
Characteristics.
yeah. So similarly, on the same grounds, Krishna is going to describe about his opulences now. Because unless until you know about him, you cannot fix your mind on him. So that is the reason why Krishna is trying to give what are which a devotee can fix his mind and how to remember him. Or powerful things or beautiful things in this world. So Ramesh Prabhu came in the, I think yesterday or day before also he was mentioning, wherever I see, I can find Krishna. So, and now here Krishna is going to give all his opulences such that where you can, as a devotee, you can fix your mind on him, whatever you see. It could be an opulent thing, a beautiful thing, or a powerful thing, etc. Okay. So the conclusion of chapter 9 is that one should become a pure devotee of the Lord. And that's what he is given there. Now Krishna is going to tell you how you can become a pure devotee of the Lord. So that is what he said, you need to become a pure devotee, but now he is giving you a kind of a solution how to become a pure devotee of the Lord. And the importance of this particular chapter is so much that you can't even believe how much important is this particular chapter called chapter 10, the opulence of the absolute, because it has got Chaturloki Bhagavad Gita, Chaturshloki Bhagavad Gita. So with 4 verses, Krishna beautifully, see the way that Krishna can put anything. With 4 slokas, he has summarized all the entire Bhagavad Gita. And with these 4 slokas, you can also kind of slokas also. We'll see that. That's the beauty about this Chaturshloki Bhagavad Gita, and we'll see that. So therefore, the chapter 10 will increase our devotion. We have some devotion, but now this chapter 10, after hearing, after knowing, it will increase our devotion by hearing, as Malti Mataji rightly mentioned, by hearing about Krishna's opulences. What we need to hear? Opulences, Krishna's opulences. Okay. So let me, so the acronym for this particular chapter is C, SEEC, source of everything, essence of Bhagavad Gita. Sorry, let me share it. One second. Okay. This is this course. Give me 1 second. Okay, so the opulence of the absolute, the acronym is that C. So you can also remember C by saying that wherever you see, you can see Krishna in there. So that way you can see this world and you can remember Krishna. So that way you can keep this, because Krishna is talking about his opulences. The source of everything, essence of Gita is the E stands for essence of Gita. That is what Chaturloki Bhagavad Gita, which I told you, which is giving you the essence of Gita. E stands for essence of Gita, and E stands for everywhere. Wherever you find, wherever, whatever you see, you can relate to Krishna. So that's what is. Okay. So this is what we have seen in the previous chapter, and describes the opulences so that we can fix ourselves by hearing about him, etc. So this is the first sloka that we is going to, this is the 9.34 where the connection we are talking about. Engage your mind always in thinking of me, become my devotee, offer obeisances to me and worship me. Being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me. So that is what Krishna is saying, that you should become my devotee. So how to become his devotee, how to become a pure devotee, Krishna is going to elaborate and kind of take us to the next level. Okay. So when discussing the subject of spirituality among different audiences, certain reservations is invariably seen to surface. Cannot see God at work, etc., etc. So basically, a lot of people say that if you show me God, then only I will believe in him. So here in the 10th chapter, Krishna explains how the spiritualist can simultaneously perceive God as the source of creation and also see God within that creation. So that is what you can see God, and how is that is what Krishna is going to tell you. However, this requires more than an intellectual understanding. It actually calls for transformation of one's consciousness and a revelation from within. So it's not that easy to really see God, but because there is a transformation that is required, the purification that requires. Okay, so that is what. Now, if you have seen from the 7th chapter onwards, Arjuna did not intervene anywhere. Have you seen that Arjuna Vacha, that means Arjuna has not spoken anywhere in the last 2 chapters. So what has happened is that, so why do you think that Arjuna has not spoken? What was the reason? Right, if you see, usually Arjuna used to speak, but in the last 2 chapters, you don't find that Arjuna is speaking. And in this chapter also, you don't find that Arjuna is speaking. What is the reason?
Prabhuji, Arjuna is already in the platform that he accepted Krishna as a Bhagavan, and he also accepted him as a Guru.
Okay.
And also whatever he is telling, he is accepting, obeying and trusting.
Okay. Anything
So
else?
that is why no need to.
He does not want to interfere Krishna's flow. Basically, he knows that Krishna will come with more and more.
Okay, that's very close to the answer that I was thinking. Okay, there is no right and wrong answer. Just wanted to see what is your viewpoint.
He is completely surrendered to Krishna.
Okay. Okay, very nice. See, what Acharya says that Krishna has become emotional. Emotional in the sense, when Bhakti Yoga starts, Krishna has become emotional and he's keep on telling. And there is no gap questions also. Because Krishna has become emotional and he's telling everything about himself. And in this chapter also, Krishna is going to tell. And later on, at later point of time, in the next chapters or so, then Arjuna will intervene and ask few questions. But now Krishna is very emotional. So you see Bhavagrahi Janardana. He also has that. See, unless until he has that emotion, it will not come to us. So he is also emotional, and bhakti is the emotional part. See, unless and until you are emotional and your that kind of a attachment is there, you are not in bhakti. So to exhibit that also, and it's natural that Krishna is also emotional, and that's the reason Acharya says that he's not getting interrupted anywhere. Neither Arjuna is interrupting, because he knew that Krishna's favorite subject is Bhakti Yoga, and he's also letting him go in that flow. So that's what Acharya says. Okay. So we will read this particular sloka. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Bhuya eva mahabhaho shrunu me paramam vachaha yathe eham Priyamananya Vakshyami Hitakamyaya. So if you read in your native Hindi language or the Sanskrit, sometimes it becomes easy. I'm trying to do that, but English is much easier sometimes. So what here it is said, can somebody read the translation, please? Yeah, can somebody unmute and read? Nobody?
Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Listen again, O mighty armed Arjuna, because you are my dear friend. For your benefit, I shall speak to you further, giving knowledge that is better than what I have already explained."
Okay, thank you so much. What's your name?
Jahnavi.
Jahnavi. Who is Jahnavi? Who is actually Jahnavi?
Goddess Ganga.
Goddess?
Goddess Ganga.
Oh, Jahnavi Devi. I think Nityananda Prabhuji's wife's name is also Jahnavi, right? Is that correct, Prabhuji's Mataji's? I just have to recollect. Yeah, I think that is one of the names. Nityananda Prabhuji's. Okay. Thank you, Jahnavi. Very nice name your parents have given. This one paragraph. Is that okay, Jahnavi?
The word Bhagwan is explained thus by Parashara Muni, one who is full in 6 opulences, who has full strength, full fame, wealth, knowledge, beauty, and renunciation, is Bhagwan, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. While Krishna was present on this earth, he displayed all 6 opulences. Therefore, great sages like Parashara Muni have all accepted Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now Krishna is instructing Arjuna in more confidential knowledge of his opulences and his work. Previously, beginning with the 7th chapter, the Lord has already explained his different energies and how they are acting. Now in this chapter, he explains his specific opulences to Arjuna. In the previous chapter, he has clearly explained his different energies to establish devotion in firm conviction.
Okay.
Again in this chapter, he tells Arjuna about his manifestations and various opulences.
Okay. Thank you so much. Can you read the next para also?
The more one hears
Yeah, go ahead.
The more one hears about the Supreme God, the more one becomes fixed in devotional service. One should always hear about the Lord in the association of devotees that will enhance one's devotional service. Discourses in the society of devotees can take place only among those who are really anxious to be in Krishna consciousness. Others cannot take part in such discourses. The Lord clearly tells Arjuna that because Arjuna is very dear to him, for his benefit, such discourses are taking place.
Thank you very much, Jahnavi Mataji. So nicely you have read. So which standard you are studying? Which class? Jahnavi? Okay.
I finished 10th.
Oh, very good. Very nice.
The results are to come.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so we will quickly discuss about that particular sloka. Here it is mentioned that who is Bhagavan, what is the definition of Bhagavan, and how we can become interested to understand about the Supreme Lord, and how we can become a devotee is what also is explained a little bit in the first sloka. Okay, so before going there, the 1 to 7 slokas, basically knowing that Krishna is unknowable and the source of all is what is explained in the first section. the 1 to 7. So, and Krishna is the mysterious origin of everything, and one who knows Krishna is free from all sins. That is what is getting established in the 1 to 3 slokas. Krishna is mysterious origin of everything. So his origin is not. He also mentions that of all qualities and personalities, accepting his powers lead to surrender unto him. So this is what we can establish from 4 to 7 sloka. And later on in the we'll be discussing about the pure bhakti, and Arjuna accepts Krishna's supreme position from 12 to 18, and Lord Krishna describes his vibhutis or opulences. So that is what we will be seeing in the rest of this thing. Source of everything, yes, is the source of everything. So modern science is founded upon the methodology of ascending knowledge, where one attempts to understand reality in its fullest extent by empirical research and experimentation. So what does that mean? What does that first bullet point mean to you? How does the modern science work as per you and as per this particular statement that is made here?
They observe the nature and they try to put some fundamentals as per their understanding, and they derive things.
Can somebody else also give some comment on this? How is the modern science working?
Can I, bro?
Yeah, go ahead, Prabhuji. How is the modern science working?
Prabhuji's modern science is where one attempts to understand reality by experiment, by doing experiments.
Okay, experiments, yes, empirical research and experimentation, but the methodology is ascending knowledge. So if there is an ascending knowledge, there should be a opposite to ascending knowledge is what?
Descending knowledge.
Descending knowledge. Actually, the way the methodology what Krishna is proposing, or the actual Vedic way, is descending knowledge, not the ascending knowledge. So ascending knowledge meaning that every time I'm making some experiments and coming out with something, and then say disproving or improvising on what are existing, and then going to the next level. Your knowledge is ascending. That means it is increasing day by day. So that is the way that they have taken into account the methodology that modern science is following. Now you see that a person will get a Nobel Prize for disproving his predecessor. That whatever statements he made is wrong, and he is going to get the credit that because he has disproved his predecessor. This is ascending knowledge. Okay. Now, what is the drawback of this particular ascending knowledge? Can somebody tell? What is the drawback of this ascending knowledge?
Nothing is permanent. So
see,
what is valid today can be invalid tomorrow. So
right.
There is no validity.
The modern science, especially in the medical field, some Matajis, Prabhujis will also maybe agree, may not agree. Earlier they used to say that when you take one anacin, it will remove cancer. Something like that. Some vague things have come. When you take one tablet, that continuously. Later on, newspaper it has come saying that if you take anacin or this tablet, it will really spoil your health, and they banned those tablets. So see, this is all because you do not have perfect 100% knowledge with you, and you keep on experimenting, and if you have a big muzzle and a big mouth to speak, and you can market yourself, you can bully the other person, and you can come into the market and establish yourself. This is what happened. And all the time our Vedic system of medical, if you see whether it's Ayurveda also, there is nothing to be experimented per se, because it is coming from a perfect source, and this perfect source is none other than Krishna. And because it is coming from a perfect source, you don't need to do any experimentation per se. You just have to take it and then use it. And till date, there has not been whatever is mentioned in the Vedas, which Ayurveda or any other Veda, whatever we are discussing about, including Bhagavad Gita, whatever we spoken, it's all perfect. There is nothing has to be disproved. So, and before we could have any of this microscopic way of looking at certain things, such as the baby in the womb can be seen, what are the organs that are formed. In our Shastras, it has been mentioned that what are the organs for the baby are formed in the first month, second month, third month, sixth month, till 9 months, what all are formed. So perfectly they have given, because their knowledge is not based on experimentation. So they're now here to find out all that, they cut and see and then believe it. But their level of knowledge and their understanding about the world and internal as well external is beyond compare. And if you see the Panchangam, whichever is there, they can predict when you will get Amavasya 100 years from now also. That's perfect science. When you will get Amavasya in that year, perfect, you see. So our knowledge of methodology is descending knowledge. We come from we basically use the perfect source, and we use that perfect source to get our understanding. And there is not much of any research or already it has been done and it is given to us. Any doubts? Because this is fundamentally some people have some apprehension about our methodology. Any questions in this regard?
Prabhu,
Yeah, go ahead.
Bera Prabhu messaged in chat box that voice is breaking. Just want to confirm, Prabhuji and Mataji, is it breaking for everyone or?
Yeah, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu, it is with me as well.
Prabhu, sometimes it's breaking. Yes, Prabhu. Sometimes it's getting stuck, Prabhu.
Oh, I see. My internet problem is there, I think. Okay, probably I will stop my share probably, because little bit it might also improve. Let us see. Is it better? Whenever you find any difficulty, please let me know.
Okay, Prabhu.
So, okay. Probably my video I can stop if it comes. Okay. So where are we? So here in this chapter, Krishna, and especially in this acronym source of everything, 1 to 7 verses, Krishna will explain how this knowledge can actually be directly perceived. So you can also perceive this particular knowledge, whatever Krishna is going to explain. So knowing that Krishna is unknowable and source of all, this is what we are seeing. So important thing is that Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Bhuya eva Mahabaho Shunu me Paramam Vachaha Yatteham Priyamanaya Vakshyami Hita Kamyaya. So here the important word you need to take here is the Paramam. Paramam means supreme. So listen, O mighty armed Arjuna, because you are my dear friend, for your benefit, I shall speak to you further, giving knowledge that is better than what I have already explained before. So he says, why is he giving? Because Arjuna is non-envious and is his dear friend. And that is the reason why he is giving this knowledge, which is, again, it's a confidential knowledge, where he is revealing about his opulences. Okay. So here, Priyamanaya means dear friend filled with love. So he is giving with love all this information. As I told you, Krishna has become emotional also. And Hita Kamyaya means for your benefit I am doing it. And Paramam Vachaha, I shall give you the supreme knowledge. Paramam Vacha means supreme knowledge. That is what he is trying to give you. What is that? We are going to see now. Okay. So here in the purport also, as Mataji has read, so Bhagavan definition is given in the Vishnu Puran, and Parashar Muni has defined how can you qualify somebody as Bhagavan. Aishwaryasya samagrasya viryasya yashashreyah Jnana vairagyascha chaiva sannam bhaga itingana. So Aishwaryasya means of opulence of wealth. So Krishna has got 6 opulences, and all these 6 opulences are in full. You see that he Aishwarya of opulence of wealth. Can somebody tell me how you can tell that Krishna has got opulences of wealth, or he's full of wealth? Any?
He maintained 16,100 wives, and everybody one palace, and palace he has attributed.
Yeah, and that palaces were decorated
Full of jewels.
So many jewels, rubies, and there is no light required. All these jewels which are there, that itself were giving light. So that was the kind of a opulence that. Any other thing you remember about the wealth, about Krishna?
Prabhuji, Lakshmi is a dasi to Krishna.
Lakshmi, who is the source of all the wealth, she is serving her Krishna. So just see how he is the proprietor and the wealth of all these material and spiritual worlds. Samagrasya in full, and Viryasya of strength or power. How can you tell about Krishna's power or strength? Anything from your past experience that you heard? How Krishna?
Prabhuji, may I?
Yeah, go ahead, Prabhuji.
In his childhood, he killed Putana.
Childhood, he killed Putana with his little finger, with his left hand, little finger, he has lifted Govardhan hill, and also he is able to control the sun and other planets also. You know that in Mahabharata what happened in the Kurukshetra war. So he to keep the Arjuna's vow and not to protect him, he has made the sun go down and come up again. So that is what he can do. He's so powerful. He has that strength. Yashaha, fame. So his fame is so much spread over that where Krishna is he's remembered because all the time, and with everybody is remembering Krishna, though 5,000 years back he was there in this material world, but still we are able to remember his fames and all that he has done. Shreyaha, that means beauty. His beauty, can somebody recollect about his beauty? How is that?
Mohini is one of the avatar, right? So
Mohini is one of
that's
the
beauty.
Right, that is one thing. But Krishna per se, that was an avatar.
Bake Bihari.
Huh?
Bake Bihari. It is one of the most intimate that we just get attracted to it.
Okay.
Bake Bihari.
Shyamasundara form, Prabhuji.
Shyamasundara form. Actually, one of the things in Bhagavatam, gopis, they were cursing Brahma. They were cursing Brahma, saying that why did you design there is a flaw in your design. Why did you put these eyelids? Because whenever that split of seconds, when we are closing our eyes, we are missing to see Krishna. So that was the kind of beauty that Krishna was exhibiting. And he was Navan. Means after 16 years, when Krishna came, or he became 16 years, after that he is still like that only. Though when in the Kurukshetra war he was 100 plus, but still he was looking like a 16 years old boy. So that is the beauty about Krishna. Gnana.
I have,
Go ahead, Prabhu.
sorry, I interrupted. I have a question.
Yeah,
Why beauty of Krishna is always like his is compared to lotus. His lotus sweet, lotus eyes, Kamala, everything is compared to a lotus petal. So
do you have any problem when Krishna's eyes are compared with lotus?
I mean, what is exactly the how exactly?
Lotus flower, based on my limited knowledge, lotus flower has got a very the significance is that, as we told earlier also, when how do you want to live in this material world? The example is given in as you need to be like a lotus flower. The petal on the lotus flower, if you see, when a droplet is there, water droplet, it doesn't stay on it. It just comes out. So nothing sticks to it. So you need to be renunciate in that way. And being in this material world, in the daldal, that means in the kichad, in the whatever the dirt, the kamalapoo is there, that is lotus flower. But still, the dirt cannot stick onto the lotus petals. So that's the beauty. That's the way that Krishna has designed lotus flower. So that is the reason why we compare Lord also with the eyes as lotus flower. And so many things are compared. One of the things is that why Krishna is wearing the peacock, whatever, what is that peacock?
Feather, Prabhu.
He is wearing it. This is a beautiful significance for that also. Why he significance. Is that okay, Prabhu? Ramesh Prabhu?
Yes. Till now, I'm just trying to focus on Murali, though. But okay, since the occasion came on beauty, so I thought let me come on lotus.
Lotus flower. You see, when Gajendra also, when he was offering it, he was offering lotus flower only. And lotus flower is very beautiful actually when it comes out. So nicely it looks, and it has got, and when you are when the Goloka is described, the Goloka description is also based on the lotus petal move, the way the lotus petal is there. So that way only the Goloka has been described. So that there are different places in Goloka, and where are these different places? All that is also compared with lotus flower. So that is probably because that is one of the creations where Krishna has nicely made that flower, and he likes it, and so that might be the reason. Okay, so we'll go ahead now. Gnana, knowledge. How can you say that his knowledge or Gnana, what he possesses, is complete? Anybody?
Vedas came from him, Prabhu.
Vedas came from him. Okay. Any other answer? Yeah. So especially, yes, Vedas have come from him only. That is the reason why they called as Apaurshaha. And this Bhagavad Gita, whatever he has spoken, that knowledge is complete in the sense that if you see, sometimes I also felt it. When you read Bhagavad Gita, sometimes when you close your eyes, what did I really learn? Sometimes you feel that this is new. Have previously I read it, but now I feel that I'm reading it again fresh. So the knowledge what we shared in this is ever fresh, and you keep getting so many revelations when you read Bhagavad Gita. And that is the reason why people say that when you read Bhagavad Gita once, it is not stale, that when you come back again, you don't feel like to read again. Because the more you read, the more you are able to get more knowledge, and it is always, and it is full with so much of knowledge in that, and a lot of readers have told that. And if you see, after 5,000 years also, the Bhagavad Gita is the man take whatever they want from it. So this knowledge, whatever is shared by Krishna, is the basis for psychology. It is the basis for management in the multinational companies. It can be basis for any other thing, because this is the knowledge from where anything should come. So that is how it is. So Vairagya or renunciation. So can somebody remember for renunciation anything? No?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah, go ahead, bro.
Yeah, actually, being a supreme personality Godhead, he did not hesitate to become the charioteer of the charioteer of Arjuna. This is one of the renunciation we find. And other thing is friend of Sudama, how he treated Sudama. Though Sudama was a very Brahmana.
How he treated.
These indicate.
So basically, the way he treated is that nobody would really say somebody is a pauper who is torn dress, and he embraced him, and he was so much happy that he asked his queens to get water so that he can wash his feet. So he not only washing his feet, he made him sit on his throne. In the Rajya Sabha, in the wherever is there, it's a big throne, and he made him sit on that, and he has given that kind of a treatment. So when the Pandavas, when their Indraprastha was the new capital where they wanted to establish, and when they were doing that whatever yajna they did, and they got a nice place that was created by Indraprastha, then all were called, all the guests were called, and what is the service that Krishna has taken? Can you know? Can anybody remember? What was the service that he has chosen to take up?
Is it washing feet, Prabhuji?
He wanted to be in the chapel stand.
He wanted to arrange all those people whosoever has come, their padukas, he wanted to arrange it properly. So whenever, because so many guests are coming, so he has chosen to take that service. See, where is Krishna? And what is he doing? He's taking padukas of others and putting it in order. So that is the kind of renunciation wherein you get. And when in the Kurukshetra war, if Arjuna wanted to make his chariot to go to the left, he will hit with his leg, indicating that you need to go to left. Right, he'll hit on right with his leg. So that is that's the position, because it is not like there is no basically, because so much of noise is there, you cannot speak. So you have to do that, and that's how it is the way. And we used to do it. And what else is there?
Prabhuji, one more example for renunciation is like when war was over and everything has been done, and Krishna is staying with Pandavas. So this Krishna says that Yudhishthira to go for Ashwamedh Yagya. So he being the supreme, he says that you establish the rule of the Kuru Vansha. So just you can imagine. He never thought about becoming the king. He's all powerful, but he stands renunciated.
Absolutely, bro. Thank you so much. So full wealth, strength, fame, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation, these are the 6 opulences of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It has been said that fame, opulence, wealth, and money, etc., and power all follow from beauty, and that knowledge and renunciation follow from fame. So this is the Parashar Muni, and Shri Krishna has got all the opulences. Bhag, the word bhag, if you divide grammatically also, bhaga means opulence. Van means one who possesses. The definition of Bhagavan means one who possesses these 6 opulences in full. So we might be having the opulences a little bit, maybe Bill Gates might be having some amount of wealth, but he may not be possessing all the other 5 opulences, right? So Bhagavan is a person who has got all these opulences in full. So that is what Parashar Muni says. Who is Parashar Muni?
Father of Ved Vyas.
Is the who is saying that now? You see.
Prabhuji, I said it.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu. So now this is what now Brahma, who is the first person who is created, he also says that in Brahma Samhita, as Raghunath Puri Prabhu yesterday also mentioned, or day before yesterday, that when this Brahma Mohan Vimohan Leela happened, what happened is that when this Madhumangal is a very naughty guy, and he's a very he is fond of eating so many things. So whenever he finds some laddus, he will love to eat it. And it so happened that Madhumangal has got 3 laddus, and immediately he put all 3 in his mouth. And what Krishna does is that he hits him on his cheeks like this, and one laddu comes out, and he takes that laddu and eats. And this is what is watched by Brahma. Then now he is surprised. How can he be my Lord, who is acting like this, eating from somebody else's mouth? So that is where bewilderment came, and he did all that. And later on, when he realized it, that is where Brahma Samhita has come and is spoken, where he mentioned that Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. So that is where Brahma was mentioning that for if Sarva Karana Karanam, he is the perennial cause of all causes. So if something has to happen, it has to happen because Krishna is there in the background. So that is what we need to understand. Krishna is the supreme controller. His form is made of bliss, knowledge, and eternity. He is the origin of all. He is the master of the cows and the senses. He is no other. He has no other origin, and he is the perennial cause of all causes. So that is what it is mentioned by Brahma also. So these are some of the qualities of Krishna, and we have seen that he is the source of Vedas, as Bapi Prabhu said. He is the source of the Vedas and all knowledge, and thus he is the most knowledgeable. So that is the, and even though he possesses all these opulences, he is completely renounced. So sometimes people get attached because you have all these options. Suppose I am a wealthiest person, I will be getting attached to it, saying that what will happen if somebody is going to steal? Oh, when I am going to die. So that is the reason why it is very difficult for people who has got a lot of wealth to come into Krishna consciousness also sometimes. It becomes a hindrance. Sometimes, not all the times, but again, yes. Because you are so attached to certain things, and you need to be ready to basically not get attached to those things. And slowly, once you take the association of the devotees, slowly we will get detached from those. Not that we are averse of it, we will use it in the right way. Like if you see Ambarish Prabhu. Who is Ambarish Prabhu? Anybody remembers?
He's a CEO of Ford.
CEO of Ford.
Yeah,
Just see. So how did he come into Krishna consciousness? Can somebody tell?
Through Prabhupada's only, Srila Prabhupada.
But how?
I'm not sure, probably.
Anybody remembers? And the Govardhan Prabhu?
Yes, bro. Actually, once he come to Srila Prabhupada saying that he's taking all his like members and making devotees. He came in front of Srila Prabhupada and saying that before he says, Srila Prabhupada says to him, where is Mr. Ford? He is asking about his father. Where is your father now? He completely, by that question, he completely surrendered to him with folded hands. He says, what should I do now? The meaning behind it is, where is your father now? You are thinking that you're going to live permanently with your assets and liabilities, but it is not going to happen.
So yeah, that simple question has triggered him to utilize whatever he has got as ancestral property, etc., in the service of Krishna. Now, if you see the Vedic planetarium which is getting built in Mayapur, is funded 50%, I think, is funded by
Yes, yes,
from him only.
400 crores,
Yeah,
Prabhuji.
no, 50. I mean, like it was again now. Yeah, he 50%. Prabhuji, one more thing. Just a person like, I mean, yeah, just wanted to add, like Mr. Amrish Prabhu, he is basically, I know he's begging. I mean, he said that I can build this. This is another house. This will be another house for me. But he doesn't want to do that. See the, I mean, the humility of that person. He says that I will beg each and every one and make this temple.
And in fact, he came to Hyderabad, he came to India and visited so many temples just asking for funds. See, one of the things is that and Krishna is going to speak about this, why one should give charity. Can somebody tell me why one should give charity? Charity in the sense, not per se, charity in whatever hard-earned money you have, you are giving it for a good cause. That is what charity means. And for Krishna consciousness, you are giving so that Krishna consciousness can be spread in one way or the other. So why we should give that money? Why charity should be given? Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Practice detachment, Prabhuji.
Preeti Mataji also says the same.
Gratitude.
Gratitude. One thing what Krishna also mentions at later point of time in the chapter, that one should not give up certain things, and including all the people who are in whichever ashrama they are there, one thing which you should not give up is charity. So you may say, what does a sannyasi doesn't have anything? What is the charity that he can give? He can give charity also in a different way. So we will discuss that. But when you start giving charity in the right way as per your capacity, so what will happen is that the attachment that you have towards these material things will slowly come down, because we are attached to these things. So when you are leaving this material body, then once you started that giving charity, then you will easily leave this body, and then you can remember Krishna instead of your material wealth. I remember my own father, while he was in his last 15 or 20 years before he passed away, he has given so much of charity. Now in our village and in other places also, they say that nobody can give this much. In so much he has given, and he has practiced it, because, and when he left his body, the way he left his body is the day before he passing away, he was regularly, he used to go for walking, and he used to, in the night also, before, after taking dinner, he used to walk for certain, we have a garden in the opposite to our house where my father used to stay. He used to make few rounds, and next day morning around 3 o'clock or so, he just left. So no pain, nothing, and no regrets. He never had something where we have to go and serve him kind of thing. That never happened. He was self-sufficiently doing things, and he was able to maintain himself. So that is what it is. And yeah, that's and he has left his body in the what is that, in the Brahma Muhurta, and it was what is that, in the days where it is a pious days. What is that called? I'm not able to recollect because I'm thinking about my father now. So that is what he once gets, and you believe me or not, he was so lucky that my own god brothers, who they were taking his, like I also went, and his astikalu, whatever we have to put it in the river in Vrindavan, we did all that, and these two and other senior devotees have come, and we could do that ceremony so nicely. But he was very lucky in that way, that he was having that consciousness, and he left all that. So I still remember. Yeah. Okay, so we'll do two more of.
Prabhuji, I have one question here.
Sure. Go ahead, Prabhu.
So earlier in previous chapters, we said that if we do like good things or bad things, there'll be a karmic balance, and to like again you have to come back if there is a karmic balance.
That's
right?
true,
Now,
that's
if you do good, also there will be a.
Yes, you'll come back. Come back in the sense, see, when you do some pious activities, the pious activities could be roti, kapda, or makan, you wanted to give it to somebody. And they give it because with the intention that in their next life, they will not have any difficulty for roti, kapda, or makan. So that is their intention of doing it generally. And because it's a pious activity, you will get a pious credit. And because you have a bank balance of pious credit, you have to come to this material world, and this pious whatever credit has got, you will be reaping that benefit. You need not come to this bhuloka. You may go to higher planets also, because you did some pious credit is there. So you will enjoy these opulences. You will enjoy that pious credit in whatever fashion. So you'll have a nice things to eat there. You don't have to eat any rotten chemicalized kind of food. Nice food you will eat and you will enjoy. But again, what good is that? It will not really help you, right? In terms of spiritual, you might utilize that opportunity and think about Krishna. That is good, but hardly anybody will think about Krishna when they wanted to enjoy, because they are enjoying their senses there. So there is no connection with Krishna. So,
but I was just trying to relate the previous discussion we had, right? Right.
So what is your doubt, Prabhu, Venkat Prabhu?
So can you go one step back, one slide back?
Oh, okay. Is this the one, or is it still back?
No, we were telling that whenever we get an opportunity, we should also donate, and we should also do like you gave your father's example that he donated.
I may not have given based on any of this point here. I don't remember why I gave that example of charity.
Yeah, that charity is also a good, like we are doing something good, but we will get a credit for that, and we have to come back, right? That doesn't liberate us from. That is what is my question.
Whenever charity should be given in connection with Krishna, when you do, it becomes not an attachment to you, but there is no karmic positive or a negative when you do it for Krishna. So you suppose you have some 20 lakhs of rupees, say, and you give it to some activity where Krishna consciousness can be spread. Say, for instance, so that one is in where there is no positive or negative credit that goes into your bank account. That means there is no reaction to that, positive or negative reaction. We will see that there is one slide which I am going to discuss at later point of time. What is Buddhi Yoga and what is Karma Yoga? And when we talk about the Karma Yoga, we said that and we also discussed that previously. What happens is that when you are doing certain activities, there is always a reaction that going to come, whether it is positive or negative. When you do certain work in such a way that there is no reaction at all, what will happen is that slowly that activity will also remove all the karmic bank balance also, because Krishna is going to remove all that karmic bank balance that you have, such that he will make you sinless. So previous whatever accumulated sin in one way or karmic bank balance will also be removed. And that's where you can cut down your cycle of birth and death and coming back to this material world. I don't know whether I addressed that. Is that okay, Prabhu? Venkat Prabhu, or still?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji. I think, yeah. So as when you spoke about charity, then that struck to me that, okay, yeah.
So basically, you can give charity, but give it where you do not have, you don't get any
Returns.
result which is positive or negative with respect to karma. Karma will not get attached. So that kind of a thing, if you do, you don't have to come back here. Because it goes into an account where Krishna is going to give you the basically will balance, and then he's going to give you a position where you don't need to come back to this material world. That also gets accumulated. So once it is good enough, then you will come out of this cycle of birth and death. Okay. So we will,
Can I add?
yeah, go ahead.
We had told that everything we should see Krishna. So in this charity, we should see that Krishna, you gave me this, I'm giving it back to you.
We will discuss that, but basically you have to do, see, Krishna is going to give you in this Chaturloki Bhagavad Gita or Chaturloki Gita, he's going to tell you about three things: Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojana. So what kind of a relationship you should have with Krishna is going to tell you. So that is Sambandha Jnana. Abhideya is basically is going to tell you about the process by which you should be doing such that you are going to reach your ultimate goal, which is called the Prayojana. Your ultimate goal is Prayojana. So he is going to tell you all the three. He is going to tell you about Sambandha. He is going to give you the Sambandha Jnana. He is going to give you the Abhideya, the process how you should do it. And the last one is Prayojana. He is going to tell you what is the end result, what is the end goal. Most of the time, we are in a confused state because either of the three, we are not having complete understanding. Whether Sambandha Jnana is not properly there, or Abhideya is not properly there, or ultimate goal, which is the Prayojana, is not there, or you are not having clarity. So for in Bhagavad Gita also, if you read it properly, you can categorize all the slokas with whatever you have read so far into these three categories. That's the beauty about this Chaturshloki Bhagavad Gita also, and what Krishna is going to reveal now. So you can basically see things in the right perspective. That means you'll have the right kind of a relationship that you can establish with Krishna. That's what Krishna is going to tell you. And you should also strive to do things relating to Krishna. And because that is where you'll be really meeting your end goal. Because if you properly establish your relationship, then only you can be able to meet your end goals. Okay. One last sloka we will see, Prabhu, or one more. Name vidhu suragana prabhavam na maharshyaha aham adhir hi devanam maharshinam cha sarvashaha. Neither the hosts of demigods nor the great sages know my origin or opulences. For in every respect, I am the source of demigods and sages. So here, Name Vidhu Suragana. So basically, Krishna is trying to say that no one knows Krishna. And his origin is also mysterious. So why is that he's saying his origin is mysterious? And why is that nobody can know about him? Can somebody think about it? Why is that he's saying?
Because nobody was there when the creation happened, and nobody will be there later.
Can anybody give some mundane example for this? Mundane example that you know of. See, Srila Prabhupada gives an example of my father. Can I know who is my father on my own? Can I?
No, Prabhuji.
Why you cannot? What is the fundamental reason why I cannot?
Prabhuji, we will wander here and there asking for our father.
No, that is true, but I am asking why.
Because he is born before you were. You were not there when he was born, right? You were born after.
When I was born, basically when I was the conception has happened, That time I was not there. So how will I know? So similarly, if you know, if you wanted to know the origin of this particular universe, so you should be there that time, but you are not there. So how will you know about it? So that is what we could, in one way, Srila Prabhupada gives that example of a father. From your mother only, and she will tell you who is your father, and then with that faith you need to go. If not, you go and do DNA test for all the men that who are there. Then how is it feasible? Is it possible? If it is possible, also that person might have not there. He might have already left this body. So all these things. So that is the reason why Krishna is saying that he is the origin of everything. At the same time, nobody knows completely about himself. Neither the hosts of demigods. So the demigods are very close to Krishna in one way, because they are the ministers who are appointed by him. So they themselves don't know. And in one way, why he is saying that, taken the examples of demigods? Anybody can think about why only demigods example he has taken and great sages? What does that really reflect on from our end?
Even the Adi Devatas were first demigods.
The demigods are very,
They were.
Yeah. So basically, the demigods are powerful people. Powerful people like Varuna, Surya, Chandra. These are powerful people. They have got so much of power, strength in one way. So they are not able to, because they can control so many things. Krishna is saying that they also don't know about me. Great sages. Why great sages? Because great sages have got so much knowledge. Because sages means knowledge. So these people also don't know. What about you and me who are very tiny? Huh? So neither we are demigods, nor we have got so much knowledge, neither strength. So where are we going to fit in there? So, but it's not like something we are demeaning ourselves. But point is that you need to understand that understanding Krishna completely is not possible. And Brahma also says that one time, that Krishna, you also don't know what all you have. So much Krishna also has in terms of his opulences and about anything about himself. And what is revealed to us through this Bhagavad Gita, etc., is only tiny part of it. What is actually Supreme Lord is unlimited, because in all aspects is unlimited. Yeah, any doubts here? Any questions? Okay. So then the point is that it is little depressing. Then how is that we can know Krishna then? Is there any possibility to know Krishna? How can we understand Krishna then? Can we understand Krishna?
Yes,
So
Prabhu, we have to have faith, right, Prabhu?
Step by step, Prabhuji. Anything we don't understand, we proceed step by step.
So here, in the purport of this particular sloka, Srila Prabhupada says that one can understand Krishna in his actual situation only by unprecedented mercy of Krishna. So if Krishna is merciful, that is where it is called confidential knowledge. So you need to have the mercy of Krishna, and if Krishna is merciful, he has mercy, then he will reveal. Then only you will be able to know. See, I was one of my friend was saying that after coming into Krishna consciousness and following this particular process, then slowly he started understanding what Krishna wants him to do, or how his life has been systematically tuned. So there is somebody who is doing all this. That kind of a invisible kind of a grace is there by which things are happening. So some people can experience that, but again it is through mercy of Krishna and his devotees, obviously. And what is the other way you can also get to know about Krishna? One last way.
Devotional services.
Okay, So here in the purport, it mentions that from a bona fide books like Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. So Guru, Sadhu and Shastra in one way. So you can know about Krishna through Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. But again, obviously with the mercy of Krishna only, but Guru is inspired and he is going to reveal about Krishna via him also. And also when you read Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, Krishna will be revealed to us. So that's the reason why we are reading Bhagavad Gita. So any questions so far? Anybody has? Okay. If no other questions, then we will end for today. Any questions anybody has? No? I know our flow was not that systematic today, but probably tomorrow I'll try to put it more systematically and we'll complete tomorrow's chapter, this 10th chapter, and then we'll go ahead. Okay, so Meghna Shukla Mataji, yes, that question we will address it tomorrow. Thank you very much, because we don't have time, and I will first thing that I will address it for tomorrow. Any other question anybody has? No? Okay, then so
A small question.
Go ahead, Ramesh.
Despite see, when Krishna is telling about his appearances, despite that people are not even I'm not following. Okay, so now even so even if government tells don't roam around, people don't follow. So what is wrong? Yeah.
Whatever Krishna is trying to give, that we are not following. That's what is your question, right? Is that what is your question, Prabhu?
Not following, be it Krishna or be it any reporting, whomever we are reporting. Ultimately, we say we are reporting to Krishna or whomever our human psyche seems to not to follow.
This is the reason now, Prabhu, we have revolted against Krishna and we wanted to independently enjoy. So why you wanted to revolt about Krishna? Because you are jealous about Krishna. Or you said that why only Krishna should be given all these facilities? Why only Krishna should enjoy? Why not me also? You forgot that your enjoyment is there in serving Krishna. Once you realize that, get all the beatings in this material world, either you get, they say that, how do you know that in less than 1 minute, somebody was asking, a reporter was asking Srila Prabhupada, can you tell us how we can realize spiritual progress? Then he had only 1 minute where on the airport, one reporter was asking. So if you are getting more frustrated with this material world, that means you are progressing. In simple terms, he said. See, one frustrated in a not in a negative way, but you realize that this material world is dukkhalayam ashashvatam. It is all temporary. So whatever name, fame, whatever you are talking about, your job, all these things are temporary. So if you realize and catch hold of somebody who is permanent, who is Krishna, then your life is perfect. Then you will see the joy and you will experience the joy, and we will not get frustrated, and we will be more interested and enthusiastic in our life. If not, we will be morose. And you see, a lot of people are so much depressed now that because of this corona and things like that. But devotees are not so much depressed. They are taking this as an advantage. That okay, this is good. So I can be at home and I can read books. I can focus more on things that I was not doing earlier. So that's how you need to take. This is all because this is Krishna's hand is also there. Maybe he wants me to grow like this spiritually. So take it like that. And worst case worse, if suppose some corona catches you and you are going to die, okay, fine. Well, I am able to do whatever time is there, devoting and have that consciousness to live. So that's what it is. Okay, so no other questions, and we will do Kirtan. And I would request Behra Prabhu, I was longing to hear from him.
Hare
Behra
Krishna,
Prabhu.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Can we do Kirtan, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. And I would request that I wanted to follow your Kirtan. If it's
Thank you.
okay, I may not be as perfect as you.
No problem. Yes, sir.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Rama Rama,
Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare Hare,
Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare.
हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय।
Jai.
अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय,
जय
लीला प्रभुपाद की जय.
जय.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Mehra Prabhu ki jai. Thank you so much, Prabhu. So nicely you did Kirtan today also. And I would request each one of you to go through the Vaishnava song book. If you get inspired to sing any of the Vaishnava songs, please let me know. And we will, you can be part of this particular Gita Subodhini, where you can also sing and as a service. And so please send it across to me. And if I forget, please send me a reminder that you did not acknowledge to give your feedback, etc., so that we can. Okay, thank you so much again for all of you for joining. Please forgive us for the delay. And tomorrow for 7:30 evening, we have the continuation for this session, and we will complete the chapter 10. And tomorrow morning, we have the group Japa session. So please do join there also. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Prabhu ki jai. Dandavad Pranam.
Dandavad
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna Prabhu. Dandavad Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Dandavad.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Arjun Prabhu ji ki jai.